Hey friends, today we're going to talk about the challenges of building consumer apps. I mean, we all love scrolling through Instagram or sending snaps, right? So it's tempting to think, hey, I can be the next Snapchat or Instagram. Especially for solo founders, it seems more approachable, no need for business meetings or sales pitch, and you connect with users directly where they hang out, which is on their phone. But trust me, it's a whole different ball game. Ready to dig in? Let's go. Alright, the first reality check is that your app is just one click away from losing your users. Notification permissions are a classic example. You know the drill. Someone downloads your app, try it out, and they're all hyped to use it. And what's the first thing they're gonna see? A freaking pop-up asking to enable notification. Most people are likely gonna hit don't allow faster than you can say wait. Why? Because they haven't seen what your app can do yet. Now, let me paint you the picture. So imagine your app's all about language exchange like mine. And one of the coolest feature is getting notified when someone nearby sends you a new message. If your new user click on don't allow, then they're not going to see those notifications, right? And what happens then? Well, they think your app's just a ghost town and end up uninstalling it. So how can we turn this around? Well, it's simple. Just wait for the right moment to ask for permission. And it's kind of easier said than done, but pop the question when they finish sending the first message and tell them, hey, enable notifications so you know that someone sent you a new message. Don't skim on your text in your pop-up message. Swap out like boring lines with something catchy like stay in the loop, enable notification to meet language buddies fast, or something like that. Choosing here the right words can make all the difference. Timing and wording can make all the difference in your user retention. And it just all boils down to a single click. Keep that in mind as you fine-tune your app experience, and that is just one example because in the app world, it's just full of such tiny yet crucial decisions to be made. Alright, let's talk now about something that I call fidelity. You know, in most relationships, it's the cornerstone of mutual trust and commitment, right? But when it comes to consumer apps, well, not so much, because here's the reality check. Your users probably have the same copy-pasted profile on 10 other different language exchange apps, and they're just spamming hi to people across the platforms like they're handing out flyers on the street. Sounds discouraging, right? Well, it's actually not all bad news. First off, well, this behavior actually means that it's not a zero-sum game, meaning that your users hopping between different apps can work actually in your favor, because it can increase the chance that they will return back to your app after tasting what's out there. Imagine users trying out different apps just to find out that yours is the best. Well, don't get too comfortable just because users try out different apps. Just because they're flirting out with different apps doesn't mean they will always come back to yours. You gotta keep the spark alive and just keep rolling out those killer features, nail your UI UX, and just stay engaging. Because you're not just competing with your competitors in the same industry, but actually you're up against like every other app those users have on their phone. That includes never-ending scrolling Instagram and Netflix, so you better bring your A game here. And let's not forget the importance of the user community you're building here. If people find genuine connections on your platform, then they are more likely to stay around. So while consumer app loyalty might look more like a casual flirt than a committed relationship, that doesn't mean that you cannot create a compelling experience that keeps them coming back for more. So play the infidelity game to your advantage and just be the app that they always want to return back after seeing what else is out there. Oh, and not just because they like your app that they want to pay for extra. Users love a good deal, and most don't even spend a single buck on your app. So make the free stuff in your app awesome to make them think, wow, if the free stuff is that good, then the paid version must be amazing, right? You might think that everyone would want to upgrade for better features, but many are perfectly happy with the free version. And that's fine, because your goal isn't to get everyone to pay, but just a percentage. Even if you have the world's best app, some people just won't pay, and that's okay. Take YouTube Premium as an example. Well, I pay to skip those annoying ads because they just bug me, but plenty of people are cool with sitting through them. So focus on converting those who see the value in paying and don't stress about the rest. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room here, which is the troublesome users that keep us on our toes. You know the type, right? They are rocking like a 10-year-old Android phone, the apps is glitching out, and suddenly they're blowing up your inbox on a Saturday night. And they're not not cool with waiting. They just want a reply like yesterday. So why bother with these high maintenance users? Well, they're not just troublemakers because they're your app stress testers actually. They can actually help you find those annoying bugs that you didn't even know existed. Sure, you can't expect every user to be tech savvy, but you can still learn from the issues. Now, what about the time these complaints come in? Well, we'll come to the consumer app world because people use those apps on their own time, not just like 9 to 5. And let's face it, they expect you to be here like 24/7. And guess what? You've heard about the old saying that your most troublesome users are actually your most loyal users. Well, not always the case here. Let me give you a personal experience from my own startup. So I once bought an iPhone SE just to debug an issue that only one user had with a UI glitch that stopped them from creating a post. So I got the phone, fixed the bug, and the user was pleased. And I thought, well, that's the best time to ask them for a positive review. And guess what? They just reply with, okay, I'll consider it. And spoiler alert, I never get that review. So even if you go the extra miles to fix issues, just don't expect instant loyalty or glowing reviews. Users are fickle creatures, and what seems like a big win may not always translate into the long-term engagement or positive feedback that you are hoping for. Alright, before moving on to the next lessons I've learned, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more similar contents. Alright, let's jump into the mind-boggling world of consumer apps where often, let's be real, we are not solving any life-changing problems. Unlike B2B SaaS startups where you're here to solve a specific problem in like user streamline workflow or boost productivity, here you're more like the cool DJ at a party. You're setting the vibe, but you're not essential to the party itself. In B2B, customers has pressing needs. They need to manage their team, keep track of inventory, or automate their sales pipeline. But in the consumer app world, especially in niche apps like social language exchange app like mine, what's the actual need? Well, there might not be one. Most people are not waking up in a cold sweat and thinking, if only there was an app to connect me with someone nearby to practice my Japanese. And that makes the game different. You're not pitching a cure, you're selling an experience, a community, a fun way to pass the time or maybe learn something new. That's cool and all, but it's really tough to sell. So your marketing tactics have to tap into emotions, aspirations, and social dynamics more than just problem solving. And you cannot forget that when you're not solving a huge problem, you gotta give people compelling reason to stick around. So gamify the experience, create engaging content, or offer them a place where they generally enjoy hanging out. You're not just an app, you gotta be a destination. So while you might not be fixing major issues in users' life, you can still make yourself indispensable in some other ways. So turn your app into a place where people want to be and they keep coming back even if they didn't need your app in the first place. Alright, here's another reality check in the consumer app world. You think you're just competing with similar apps in your niche? Well, think again. In my case, I'm not just competing with other language exchange apps. I'm fighting against every other source of entertainment and distraction on a user's phone. So we're talking here about Instagram, TikTok, Netflix, and even that random game they just download to kill a single minute while lining at the cash register. And get this, if your app has a messaging feature, well, just add WhatsApp, Messenger, and Instagram DMs to that competition list as well. So make your messaging feature unique and cannot be found on other big players' apps. For example, for my app SewaYou, which is the language exchange app, it's things like correcting your language partner's sentences, translation, practicing like pronunciation, and so on. So we're all fighting for the same limited resource, which is the user's retention. Every push notification from your apps is in competition with messages from their friends, trending TikToks, and new Netflix releases. It's like being a street performer trying to grab the attention of people passing by who have endless other options. So how do you break through the noise? First off, know your users. If you understand what makes them stick, then you can craft a tailored experience that appeals directly to their interest. Next, consider your app's stickiness. How can you make your app so engaging that once they're in, they don't want to leave? Be it through compelling content, an addictive UI UX, or features that make their lives easier and funnier, and you gotta keep them hooked. So here's the key takeaway. Your competition is broader than you think, so you gotta be strategic. You gotta offer something funny, unique, and useful at the same time that your users choose you over the countless other options. Give your users a reason to pick your app when they unlock unlock their phone and you'll win. Also, in general, users want only three things in social consumer apps, which is to get either paid or get laid or made. In other words, they are looking to gain financially or to connect socially or romantically or achieve personal growth and recognition. So keep these core motivators in mind when designing your app's features. Also, users have zero patience, like showing a loading spinner for 3 seconds and they're gonna curse you forever. Meanwhile, I get excited for my project management SaaS updates that can even take like 50 seconds. And they even complain when there's no skip button in a 4-slide introduction to your app that literally just take 2 seconds to go through. Now let's talk about something crucial, which is the tactics that work for B2B apps usually flop when it comes to consumer apps. You know the drill in B2B, like cold email, LinkedIn messages, maybe even some webinars. But in the world of consumer apps, the game changes entirely here. Sending a cold email? Well, good luck, because the average consumer has like an inbox of 9,000 unread emails. So even if you carefully crafted your message, it might land in the inbox, but they're not gonna read it. It's not that these users don't care, it's just that their attention is a hot commodity here. They're swiping through social media apps, binge watching shows, chatting with friends, and that's your real competition. So if you're coming from a B2B background, well, the playbook doesn't work here. Consumer apps require a different whole set of strategies, and instead of hoping they read your email, directly meet them where they are. I'm talking about retargeting ads on social media or even partnering up with apps that your audience frequently uses. So give them a compelling reason to revisit your app. Maybe it's kind of like a limited time offer, an exclusive feature, or a fun event. The goal here is to snap them out of their endless scrolling and remind them that, hey, our app is cool too, come to check it out. Duolingo does that well with well-crafted and funny notifications messages with their old character. At the start, getting users to make your app a habit is an uphill battle. So you're not fighting for attention against other apps, but you're competing with the existing habits as well. But the end game is to shift from external nudges like notification to internal triggers. You want users to check your app on autopilot, driven by their own needs or desires, not because they got a ping on the phone. Alright, here's another one. So you ever hop online looking for some advice from experienced founders? What you quickly find is a bunch of B2B wisdom, and it's no surprise because that's where the money is. Things like subscription services, high ticket contracts, and enterprise solutions. So of course, B2B founders are more than willing to share their tips and tricks for success, which is great if you're in that game. But what if you are building a consumer app? Well, you're more likely to hear crickets than get substantial advice. The consumer app space is untamed and unpredictable, and the big winners aren't sharing much tips. They know what works, but you won't see them giving talks or writing Medium articles about it. So as a consumer app founder, you're often navigating uncharted territory. There's less common knowledge that you can find online or rely on, which makes your journey more challenging but also more exciting. Alright, let's talk about the final reality check here, which is the ghosting issue. You know, users download the app, swipe around a little bit, and then go radio silent. No interaction, no engagement, and here you are staring at your day 1 retention or day 7 or day 30 retention graphs and wondering why they dip. Well, my friend, welcome to the challenge of consumer apps. Low metrics are not just numbers, they are symptoms. They show you where to focus your energy, because ghosting is a problem, but like any problem, there might be some solutions. So you gotta dig deep, experiment, and find what works for your specific user base. So according to Andrew Chain, the average consumer app loses 80% of all its daily active users within just 3 days of install. Yeah, you heard it right, 80%. And by day 30, it's 90%. And by day 90, you're gonna lose 95% of your user base. No kidding. What this means is that most apps basically lose their whole user base in just a few months. So if your app's retention metrics looks like a free fall, well, you're not alone. But it's not a reason to be content with it. So figure out where people are dropping off. Is your app awesome first, but then loses its charm? Well, find those weak spots and fix them. For example, in my app SewaYou, we show the newest and most active users first to keep things fun for first-time users. But we do not ignore users who haven't logged in for a while and they still pop up here and there. And the low-hanging fruits for boosting your retention rate is often to make the onboarding experience like great. So make sure users quickly understand what to do next and why your app is awesome, and lead them to that aha moment. As human extremely fast as possible. Seriously, users have no mercy. If they send a message to another member and don't get a reply within minutes, boom, account deleted and installing your app. So make it snappy and crystal clear why your app is a must-have. Alright friends, do not let the tough truths about building consumer app startup overwhelm you. Yes, users can be unpredictable and the battle against literally everything for attention is constant. And every mistake teaches you something and every roadblock is a story for the future. And it's still a work in progress from my own startup SewaYou as well. I've distilled more hard truths about specifically building a social network startup in this video here. So check it out if you're interested into the nitty-gritty details. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification for more similar content. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Bye.